agency team on Shish Kebab Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
So Shish Kebab Wednesday night, we just had a delicious dinner. Sarah was just fantastic here. And today, ladies and gentlemen, our topic is trust.
Trust.
What does anybody here know or think about trust?
I mean, honestly, trust is essential.
Foundational.
Honestly, I think you talk about this a lot, Greg, and I've learned this from you, is that oftentimes we think of trust as a luxury versus trust being a necessity. I think too frequently we don't recognize that in the workplace, when trust is missing, it's actually a lot more obvious, but we misdiagnose the problem. And
we don't recognize what those indicators are that say, this is why trust doesn't exist.
That's right.
Or why it's thin around here, and people attribute it to so many other things, and it's like, oh, we got a trust issue.
It's like, oh, they have a bad attitude. They're a low performer. They're this, they're that.
Yeah.
Versus like, no, I'm pretty sure trust is truly essential, and we move, as you oftentimes talk about, at the speed of trust. I know that's a Covey idea, but the truth is, like, without thick trust, things slow down to an eventual halt. Yeah.
What do you think, Monica?
For me, I think the biggest issue around trust is fear. I think so many people in the workplace, and let's just be honest, in personal lives as well, have been so scarred, I should say, by their trust being betrayed or lost or broken. And I mean, I recently have heard a lot of employees, like just in general conversations, talk about how they had no trust because their trust was broken. Things were promised, things were talked about, and then things don't happen, and there's different situations, but that's just one. So I just believe that one of the biggest problems facing the issue of trust, and even though it's essential, it's so lacking, is because number one, people don't follow through, and so they break people's trust. And number two, even if you have someone or a leader or a team member who is trustworthy, that oftentimes we as individuals still withhold our trust.
That's right.
Because then the people in our future are paying the price for the people from our past.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's one of the bigger issues. And the other thing that I see in it is that trust, when you talk about trust, sometimes it can feel mushy. Like it's just this personal word that doesn't belong in the workplace. But that obviously that's very, very wrong. It is absolutely necessary, not in any relationship. And I think we do everyone a disservice when we don't bring that element into conversations around the workplace.
It's a really interesting idea, though, to say, hey, I'm not sure I trust you.
Yeah.
You know, and oftentimes the things we talk about with thin and thick and how how it creates a grace or it creates brittleness is that idea of if it is thin, I don't even know how to grow. Like, if I don't trust you or you didn't follow through, it really is awkward to say, John, I used to trust you, but you said you were going to do this and you didn't, and so now I trust you less. You know, so then instead of saying it, we'll just say, Monica, you know what, John's just not a man of his word. He just doesn't follow through on what he says. And all of a sudden, that breach of trust, or not giving the opportunity to have the conversation where John can say, you know what, I thought this was going to happen, X, Y, and Z turned out, and that's what's delayed or done that, instead of him just being a man who lacks character. And I think oftentimes, going back to fear, people are defensive. They create stories in their mind and say, this is why he did this is why he didn't. And it is that confirmation bias that causes me to trust him less because I haven't been willing to have the conversation that addresses it without addressing it without having a sense of I still trust him, but what he said hasn't turned out. And so how do I engage that conversation professionally and or personally?
That's so good. You know, I'm thinking about a scenario recently. In my family growing up, it was normal to be able to demonstrate polish, right? I've got to be well prepared. Tonight, us getting together, you guys gave me a hard time because I brought a housewarming gift. And one of the things that that I oftentimes think about is I've got to show up as my very best.
Man, and you do. You do.
And I put a lot of pressure in myself in that way. To keep it real, to be a black man as a first in a lot of environments, I have a fear of rejection. Hey, I can't afford to mess up. A lot of stories I tell myself. This came about in some 360 feedback that I recently received, that my team felt as if I was never being real with them. They did not.
Because you're so slick, so polished.
That was if I don't have bad days. That I'm holding things back from them. That I'm unlike them. Right? I'm elevated above them. I'm not like them because I'm always got the right thing to say. All these types of things.
It's tough being awesome.
No. There's a lot of fear about that.
Yeah.
Fear of rejection, fear of failure. Although I got those other fears, it's just manifested in a completely different way. The 360 feedback comes. They said, we respect him, we care about him. We don't know if he trusts us enough to show his real self.
Oh,
right.
How great is that? That the trust was. They consider it as a reflection of you towards them.
That's right. Because if he truly trusted us, he would be open. He would tell us about bad days.
He'd let his hair down. So
I get this feedback, and I find 2 or 3 different ways that I can respond to it. The first thing that I did was pretty interesting. It shocked them. I got upset and I said the S word. I said a cuss word, and they were shocked. They were like. What?
Shoot!
Oh, shoot! Come on, okay? Shoot! SHOOT. People were just shocked. It was amazing. The second thing that I did was pretty interesting. We were just hanging out, and they said, "Well, John, what are we going to do about this partner who has been just dropping the ball a bunch of times?" And I said, you know what? I'm sick of their excuses, and I'm absolutely sick of having this conversation. And they're like, bridge builder John just had a boundary? Like, it was hilarious. I'm always talking about the positive thing, yada, yada, yada. And they were like, oh, that's exciting. Yeah. Well, then the third piece that I thought was amazing, on a Friday, they were like, so, hey, John, what's really going on with you? I said, you know what? I just got a lot going on, but we'll figure it out. On Monday, we do our roses and thorns. They said, what's your rose? I said, you know what, my rose? I really like the ranch dressing at Mazzio's Pizza. I usually give my rose and my thorns into some high-minded thing, but I kept it 100 at ranch dressing Mazzio's Pizza.
Right.
I have watched one of my teammates increase in their performance, bring things to me that they have never brought to me, and give me feedback I have never received because I started intentionally trying to be a multi-layered human, and it's building trust. That is building performance.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
It is.